Welcome back to another Hockey Habs Nation Show with the Hockey Coach Rashid directly for beautiful country of Thailand on amazing great Monday special edition of the Habs Nation on the August 19, 2024. Welcome everybody. Yes, we have a special show tonight because we have a breaking news. I don't know if you heard about something happening between the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Montreal Canadiens, but that will be a subject of the night. And for that special edition of the show, we have two special people going to join me live. And I'm talking about Marko and Mr. Enortap are back in the house tonight. Welcome back, both of you.
Hello, Coach Marko, Hockey Nation.
Sorry about that. Marko, can you say hi? I said your voice.
Now can you hear me?
Now we can hear you. Yeah, we heard the bark, the bark of the dog, but we didn't hear you, so I was not sure what's going on.
That's a higher tone.
Yeah. First of all, before we start, we welcome a lot of people in the chat, guys. Don't forget, please, to click on the likes. Would be interesting to hear everybody what you're thinking about that trade between the Montreal Canadiens and the Blue Jackets. Of course, happening about 3-4 hours ago, and it was another trade by Ken Hughes the month of August. Remember, 2 years ago he did the Sean Monahan. Last year he did again another big trade with the saga Jeff Petrie, Mike Hoffman, and of course after that they got Pearson and the Smith. But this month, everybody say it's quiet. Can use is too quiet. Something could happen, and he did it. He did that trade between the Columbus and the Montreal Canadiens, and they sent Jordan Harris, the defenseman of the Montreal, for Patrik Laine and a 2026 second round pick. And this is with no retaining money, so it have full money to go to Montreal Canadiens. And I think for me, this is a talk about Ken Hughes since he's became the GM of the Montreal Canadiens. He just make this like a genius all the time. He find a way to make a big deal with all the trade, or he tried to find a way to make a bigger. Like nobody did it in the past for the last 20 years, I believe, as a GM. So I'm really impressed again by Ken Hughes to plug Laine only for Jordan Harris and get a second round pick with that trade. Is just like, that's crazy. But that's happening on that. So we're going to have a lot of people in the chat comments about that trade. If you are happy about this or not. What are you concerned, or what are you excited? I'm going to hear from, of course, Marko and Enortap. But let's start with Marko. Marko, I'm not sure he's going to sleep for the next 3 days. But so, Marko, let us know what you think about that trade.
Coach, I am pumped. I am super, super pumped about this. I think it's a great move. You know, I know that there's a lot of people concerned about the 8.7 hit for Patrik Laine. But again, like there is, in my view, very, very little risk to this, in the sense that it's only a 2-year deal. It has really zero impact on anything to do with the Montreal Canadiens' ability to kind of put together a nice balanced roster over the next two years or so. Like a lot of the players, that are going to be locked up or long term are already locked up, like Slavkovsky, Suzuki, Caulfield. So to me, this is zero risk. Even if he turns out to only play 30 games a year and gets injured again, or isn't able to kind of deliver, I still think this is a very low price to pay in terms of Harris being the return here. Harris is somebody maybe that eventually Montreal could have even lost on waivers at some point, because they just have too many left-handed defensemen, guys. So to me, this is exactly what I've been asking for the last couple months, which is trade from your surplus, which is your left-handed defenseman. And to me, the killer in all this is the second round pick that comes with it as well. I think you were mentioning it in your stream yesterday, guys, how probably the value had been dropping, because since Laine had come out, said that he definitely wanted a fresh start. Well, I think we see, he actually had negative value in the marketplace, because not many teams have the $8.7 million that they can just kind of put down to get a guy like Patrik Laine, right? So to me, some people are saying that they would have liked to see Montreal retain salary on this. For me, I would rather just take the full hit and get the second round pick, to be honest. Because again, like 25% salary retention, it means that it would have cost more. Like the more salary that Columbus retained, the more it was going to cost Montreal. And maybe then you're starting to give away something that you didn't really want to. So we can talk about what this means. Like to me, that's the most exciting thing. Guys, I just spent the last 2 hours on my PlayStation. I traded for Patrik Laine, and I've been trying him on different lines and playing. And it's pretty exciting, man. Like to me, coach, this, like everything we've been talking about so far this summer about what the prognostication is for the season, I think we have to reevaluate all that now. Like to me, that's how big of an impact this potentially have on this year. So I couldn't be more excited. Like, I'm excited to talk about it. Can you guys think of a more skilled forward that Montreal's had? Like, I know we just drafted Demidov, but name me somebody that has higher ceiling than Patrik Laine that Montreal's had in the last 25 years. I dare you.
Maybe Kovalev?
We'll see. Patrik Laine is a second overall pick, guys. So curious to see what you think of Enortap.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm along the same lines. I'm pleased about it. I'm a little bit more cautiously optimistic about it. I'll be honest with you, just because you always worry about whether they come back physically 100%, and more importantly, in this case, also mentally. Now, from having heard him in a short interview today, I mean, he sounds pumped himself to want to come to Montreal. Montreal was not a team that they had to get to waive his the trade clause on. It was, they weren't even on the list, so that shows you at least that he likes, he wouldn't mind being in Montreal, and he seems to be very happy about it from the interview. And I like the fact that he's very. I'm not going to use the word bold, but he's very confident in what he says and what he and does. Like he said, you know what, I'm not. I want to help the team in any way I can, and I'm not looking just to score 20 goals. If I can put up, 35 to 45 goals. He even hit 50, but I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt right now.
Yeah. It's like, no, I'm here to score 40, 50 goals. Like that's that's what I do.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I'm of the other side, Marko. If I could have got, instead of the second, because we were always talking about asset acquisition through not prospects, but through draft picks. And we seem to have gone through that phase, and we still have a lot of picks. And I know we can always package it up with a player or other picks and get something in return. But I would have been absolutely ecstatic if we could have had Columbus retain 25% and keep their second pick. But you're right. It probably would have pushed the price up a little bit more. And I don't think, I think this was probably the limit that Hughes wanted to go with this particular deal. And we'll see. It's only 2 years, guys. When you weigh where they're going to be in 2 years, like we're not talking about necessarily a playoff team, right? So he could bring that excitement and that experience to this team that he had when he was with Winnipeg, and I think that would serve the younger players phenomenally in their development as well. So I think it's a win-win in this case.
Here we go. A lot of comments in the chat. First of all, welcome everybody. We usually welcome everyone one by one, but we take too long time tonight. But don't forget everybody to click on the likes. Continue to put your comments positive or negative about that trade. I can understand both sides of that one. So if I evaluate that, first of all, you get a plus where it costs you approximately nothing. When I say nothing, you don't have to spend a first round pick. You don't have to give a top 4 defensemen or a top 6 forward to get a Patrik Laine. So I think that's what the only way I believe the Montreal could get that plus if I want to have Patrik Laine. On the flip side, you have to be realistic. Patrik Laine since 2018 never been the Patrik Laine he was at the beginning of his career. He never played a full year. He played 18 games last year, I believe. He scored, never reached a 40 goal and the last, 5, 6 years. So you have a lot of things come with Patrik Laine. So you have to see what he's going to do with the Montreal Canadiens and then upcoming season. That's the facts with Patrik Laine. That's he bring on the table. He have the potential to become a scorer with the Montreal Canadiens. I'll be honest with you. If he scored 25 goals, this is a great plus. At the end of the day, Patrik Laine, Josh Anderson. Patrik Laine, Joel Armia. Patrik Laine, RHP. Patrik Laine, Vernon Gallagher. That's the answer at the end of the day. So you don't losing not much, and the people worry about the salary cap. It fit perfectly in the template because you still have carry price for the next 2 years. So the next 2 years, you put price on the long-term injury reserve, and it will be fine after that. So people worry about the salary cap, but what happening with the salary cap for the Montreal Canadiens is right now minus $2 million. So they still have to send example Strubble and is an exempt waiver. They can send again Alex Barry-Boulet on the waiver. So at just beginning of the season, they can put a roster at 20 Marko and Enortap or 21, and then put Carey Price inside of that, and then one day, the next day, what they did last year, they bring back Jackai. If you can, I think it was Jackai or someone else. They can do the same thing this year. After that, they go to put Carey Price, and they can use the money of Carey Price to use Patrik Laine inside of that salary cap. So, yeah, no impact about the salary cap with the salary of Patrik Laine. So that's what you got about that one there. Now, I think
that also. Sorry, Coach. That also right now, we shouldn't forget that Harvey Pinard, who's making just over $1 million, I think 1.1, still comes off of that because he's going to be on the LTIR. So the key is to try to get price slightly underneath the salary cap, because it gives you approximately $10 million flexibility during the course of the year. And I think they're on pace to do that.
Exactly. So I think at the end of the day, that's a great. At the same time, people worry about Joshua Ward. Don't be worried about Joshua Ward, guys. He played only 20 games in NHL. Sakoski did not play top 6 his first year. Same situation. You don't try to bring your young players right away on the top 6. You protect them, or be fine for him at the third line. And you don't ever know. He can make the main camp or not. We'll see what he looked like at Joshua Ward. Look what happened with RHP, 14 goals in 34 games. And then after that, RHP did not have a great year. For me, back at the trade, I think overall, this is a great low-cost trade. Good risk for the Montreal Canadiens, only for 2 years. We'll see. Some people worry about the locker room, everything like that. What I'm not worried, guys, is I will tell you why. Ken Hughes does his homework. When you involve the head coach, the captain, and then Jeff Gordon all together to talking with Patrik Laine to know exactly what he's thinking, everything like that, this is a great situation. It's not Ken Hughes decides, so I'm going to make a trade and then put Laine in the roster. This is a teamwork, and they did the homework. They tried to talk with Laine. They find out what he looked like, what he's ready to play, and I think right now he's on the right. First of all, he have a good. His relationship with his girlfriend pick it up the last 6, 7, 8 months. They built a new website for the health issues, and then they make a couple of great things. I think Patrik Laine mentally is set up now to be around that kind of locker room. I think the locker room Montreal Canadiens is so strong inside, it would just fit. My only concern is, we're going to talk about this the next couple of minutes, but who do you remove of the power play? Caulfield, Suzuki, Sakoski, or Kubida? Or you don't use Patrik Laine on the first power play. Now you don't use your top tools. So would be really interesting. You cannot put all the top 6 forward on the power play.
No, but now they have a very legitimate second power play unit, and that I think makes them stronger.
Wait. What's your second unit?
You can't put Laine on the second power play unit, guys. Like
no, I didn't say that, but you could.
Yeah.
Well,
like
I
think
what is your second power play?
Last year.
Well, hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's not jump ahead. Let's not jump ahead to the second unit. Like, let's talk about the first power play unit. So, Coach, that's a very good question. So let's address one misconception that we seem to have about Cole Caulfield. Okay. We all know Cole Caulfield can score goals, right? I often hear people talk about how Cole Caulfield is known for his one-timers. Guess what, guys? Cole Caulfield doesn't have a very good one-timer. If you look at his goals, he's mostly a catch and release kind of shooter, right? He's a very good wrist shot, but he doesn't have really that, like, I'm not saying he's never scored one-timer. Of course he has. But it's not really his go-to.
Okay, so Marko. Marko, I would just add what you just said, right? So because I just did it last night, so I don't know last night or this morning, I don't know, but I did the NHL Edge Cole Caulfield because Patrik Laine said he's always on the left side. Yeah. So I look about he shoot everywhere, but Marko from the dots to the wall. Usually, those goals coming from Senko's Ovechkin, usually, right? That area right there, right?
The left circle. Yeah. The left circle.
Okay, so how many goals Caulfield has last year?
From the left circle on a one-timer? I would guess.
No, not one-timer. Every shot, every goal he has from the dots to the wall, from the circle, is on the right side of the goaltender if you want to tap, or the left side on the circle.
Yeah.
Like, so if you're talking from the left circle, again, like
on
I'd say probably
after the dots.
Yeah.
To the wall.
Yeah. I would say most of his goals, so I'll say like 19?
Yeah.
18?
0.
I'd say 50.
Okay.
0 goal.
Right. Okay, so
you have 12. You have 13 goals in front of the net, like in the 5 feet area over there. But my point behind that, Marko, he shoot the. Because what I want to mention to you, like his one-timer does not work. You have to go between the dots and the hash mark. That area, that's where you got his goal on that side. I just want to open up, so I'm sorry if I stopped.
That's exactly my point. Sorry, I was confused what you were trying to explain, but I think we're saying the same thing, which is that people in their minds, for whatever reason, when they think Cole Caulfield, they think one-timer from that spot. But that's not him. He's an amazing wrist shot, but Patrik Laine is that Stamkos Ovechkin one-timer guy. So for me, it's a no-brainer that he would be on that left side taking that shot, right? So that means, Caulfield, I still would have Caulfield on the first unit power play. I just think maybe like we saw on Team USA, he was playing the bumper position. Maybe he ends up getting the bumper position where you can get one-timers from there, from behind the net. Maybe he plays the point. I don't know. But either way, I think Patrik Laine is the natural, his natural position on the power play would absolutely be on the left side on the first power play unit. So what that would leave as your first power play unit, in my opinion, is you have Suzuki center, obviously. You got Patrik Laine on the left. You've got Slavkovsky on the right. And then you have Caulfield on the defense, and then you either have Matheson or Hudson, depending on what way you go there. So to me, that would be your first unit power play. Then that leaves, then you've got Doc, Newhook, Roy, potentially at Matheson or Hudson, depending on how that goes. Yeah. And then depends if you have in the lineup. If you have Mayu or if you have Barron, you have options as a right-handed defenseman potentially on the skin power.
Or you can even stick Brendan Gallagher right in front of the net. That's his favorite place to be.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So this is, I used Puckpedia earlier today just to kind of put together. I think most people kind of immediately thought of the same lineup that I did, which is, so you keep your first line intact from the end of last year. And then you've got, I know Enortap, you disagree, but I would have Newhook on that second line with Patrik Laine. To
No,
me,
I didn't disagree, Marco. It's just I've always thought Newhook would be a little bit better suited on the third line because it just gives you that much more depth. So,
I
but
think
yeah,
in
you're
the end,
right. Like that's a
I
good
think in the end
second line.
Yeah, I think in the end that's where he goes, right? Because next year you hope maybe Demidov would take up that spot.
Yeah,
then in that
exactly.
point, for those who are concerned about Oshawa, now you're starting to push him down the lineup, right? When Demidov comes in, because now your left wing is getting pretty full, right? So you've got if you've got somebody like Demidov there, you've got Caulfield as your first left wing, and then now you've got Newhook, because I don't think Newhook should play center. So then Wah or Newhook are going to have to play on the right side if they're going to play on the third line, right? Anyways, we're getting ahead of ourselves. That's in the future. But for what strikes me the most about this lineup, guys, is the depth, right? Like, to me, the most exciting thing about this trade is how it drops everybody down an extra level and puts everybody kind of in their right chair, right? So you pencil in Laine. If Laine is healthy, and let's say you can play 65, 70, 75 games, if you're rolling out a third line of Dvorak, Joshua Roy, and Josh Anderson, find me another third line in hockey that potentially are. What about a fourth line, guys? Armia, Evans, and Gallagher as your fourth line? Try to find me another team in the NHL that has a bottom six. Like, look at this bottom six. There's potentially 3 or 4 players that have either scored or come very close to scoring 20 goals in the NHL. That is not a bad looking bottom six. The big question marks obviously are Doc and Laine, because they're both coming off injury plagued seasons. But if the lineup can stay like this and you get most of these players playing a lot of the games, that is a very, very balanced lineup, in my opinion.
Totally agree.
Yeah. Well, you have to wait. You know what I mean? Like, you still have Newhook on the second line, right? At the end of the day, we have to wait to see what it would be. Like I said before, you get now. We talked last night. We talked about the Montreal need to be big, right? Now you get a 6'5", a 215, right? You remove a 5'11" defenseman. We don't talk about Jordan Harris, right? But that departure opened the door for Mayu, Rebecca, Jekai, Lennartson, and Jordan Swabo. That's the name on the bottom here. You can see that. So this another way the departure of Jordan Harris would put the Montreal a little bit more bigger at the end of the day. Still have to wait for the chemistry of what the line is going to be. For this year, I don't want to go next season with Demidov and everybody else, because next season, Marko and Enortap, we don't know what's happening with Armia, Evans, Dvorak, and the rest of that. So we have to wait the next season. But this year, I think they will. Ken Hughes is really this organization is really smart, and you want to bring Patrik slowly, properly, the right way. They're not going to give him the first round. They're not going to give him. I wouldn't be surprised if not start right away on the power play, like on the first unit one. I think they will keep. They be careful about that, and not hurt anyone to see what it look like. Could be Doc and everybody else, but
I don't know about that.
if it's not,
I don't know about
that. Because if you remove Kirby Dak at the first power play, it's like Mike Madison, Lennartson. What do? You bring Lennartson right away over Mike Madison?
I think, Coach, what it does is, like, so I don't know, I completely disagree. Like, I think somebody like Kirby Doc, like, I know they respect him a lot, but Patrik Laine, he has more of a track record on the power play. I don't think anybody on
remember, it's not about the track record. You have to keep the chemistry of the locker room.
No, for sure.
You have to do that. You have to be careful to not destroy the locker room because of someone just coming here. And now the guy did not play for the last 2 years, have a bad reputation. I can go all the way like that. So you know what? Go get your rewards. I'm going to give you the rewards when you're going to show to us. what it takes to play on the front level, whatever they are. I think that would be me and Sir Patrik Laine solely properly right way to said, look, we're going to protect us first and then open up with that.
Look, you could do that, Coach. I mean, the other thing is Kirby Dach did not play the whole year as well, so it's not like you're stepping on his toes by putting him on the second unit or taking somebody else off at that point. So I don't think it's a big thing. I think that as they head into the preseason and they play a few games, they're going to get a good feel for what works best on the power play, and they'll go with that. And I think all these players, they want to win. That's the bottom line.
Enortap, you took the words out of my mouth, man. Like the thing that Hughes said that I love the most in the press conference is that, you know, the reason they can bring in a guy like Laine and he's not worried at all about the impact on the locker room is because of the strength of the dressing room, right? So if Kirby Dach sees that the first unit power play is clicking along and Patrik Laine is playing there, and that means he has to play second power play unit, I don't think it's gonna impact the locker room negatively at all. And if it does, then that tells you a little bit about the kind of player that you have. To be honest, like, so to me, like, this is all, like, we talked about really healthy competition on the back end. Well, now we have healthy competition for the first line power play unit, right? So to me, there's certain players that aren't gonna kind of budge from there. Slafkovsky, he's really your only left-handed shot other than Newhook, so I think it would be hard to move him out of there because I think he's a left-hand shot, and that's probably my only concern, guys, is that there's a lot of right-hand shots here. Sometimes that can be a positive. It depends on how you draw up your power play. It can actually be pretty good for one-timers when you have a right-handed person passing into another right-hand shot. But it's all going to come down to how St. Louis designs the power play. So, to me, I love how this, like I said, it just provides options. Going into last year, we thought we're going to have options with Kirby Dach, being healthy. To me, this is pretty exciting to see the flexibility that St. Louis is going to have in the lineup here.
Just remember, the other thing, Laine, right? Healthy Laine, like Patrik Laine, healthy. This is the highest player, skill, talent wise. Like, you don't have, like, you cannot compare him to Cole Caulfield, to anybody else. The guy put puck in the net. It's right there. Now it's where we're going to see him, or he's going to be there. Again, for me, it's the same way with the rest of the team, like Kirby Dach and everybody else. We have to be patient. We have to see what it look like, and now go from there. I don't want I don't want it's, fans how they are, but for me, I'm not going to criticize Laine right away. At the beginning, I would give him 1 month. He did not play for 18 games last season. Kirby Dach did play 4 period last season. We have to give them some time to come back in the game with physically, mentally, and to be ready. But this could be a great turnover. My only sadness, Marko and Enortap, is like I want Michael Misa, and for me, I want to finish at the bottom 5. This is what I'm a little bit upset about. That it's just personal. Man. It's not like because
they could still move in the lottery. You never know.
Yeah, but I think at some point, what I'll give you this question for the fans in the chat, both of you. With him now, how many wins do you think Montreal get more?
See, this is very interesting, Coach. So, I think last week on last week's show, you did an amazing. I don't know if you still have any of those graphs about the goals scored per line in the NHL in order to be competitive, right? I don't know if you still have that, but if not, from memory, I think we estimated that Montreal needs to score about 257 goals or something like that to make in the playoffs.
It was 255 goals, and the first line had to score 91 goals.
Yeah, and then the biggest gap was the second line, if you compare it to other teams. And I know that we have Michael DeVillano in the chat, and to compete with a team like Detroit, I believe they had around 65 goals in their second line. Guess how many goals we were short, guys? I think Montreal is about 23 or 25 goals short to be competitive. How many goals do we think, if even Patrik Laine, if he plays 60 games, I think he can score 20, 25 goals. Honestly.
Yeah.
So
now they might not be net goals, but you're right. They're a lot closer with that.
Yeah. Like, so guys, really the message that we left with when we did that deep dive analysis of what Montreal needs to do to be in the mix, we're not guaranteeing that there's going to be a playoff spot. I think the biggest question now, which I think we all left that show thinking, okay, I think they're going to be close in terms of producing the offense that they need, but now they need to prevent goals. Their goals against is going to need to improve enough so that that goal differential can keep them in the mix, right? So let's not focus on that today because we're celebrating this, what I think is a pretty monumental deal, a pretty exciting deal. But we still have at least a month here before the preseason starts, guys, and I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to deep dive into this more. But
I mean, the other thing I like is it really takes a little bit of pressure off of Caulfield to be that major goal scorer that they need. I mean, I think teams will have to concentrate on both him and Laine. So it's going to be a little bit better for him in order to get those opportunities. And I think we'll see it in terms of his results as well, his stats.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to mention to you guys, like, when we were debating all summer as to whether Montreal was going to do something, the one thing that I kept saying that made me believe that Hughes was really going to try to do something is exactly what he said in his press conference. And I love this, is that one of the main reasons they wanted to add another offensive player is they really wanted to reward the players for their efforts over the last 2 years. Even when they were out of a playoff spot, they kept working, right? So you're thinking about players, especially Suzuki. You want to keep a guy like that engaged, right? He's entering the prime of his career. And it's hard, like going into a third season where you're not even close to a playoff spot. It's, I know, Coach, you're interested in getting another top 5 pick, but I think it's really, really a good gesture from Habs management to reward the players, even though they haven't had the results in the last 2 seasons. I think anybody that watches the games can honestly say that the effort level on most nights has always been there, right? And that's a huge credit to Martin Saint-Louis and how he keeps his players focused, right? So to me, the two major positive things, like I said, it brings everybody down a notch. It puts everybody into a different chair, provides more depth, and it sends a great message to the young players. Like going into the season, guys, at the golf tournament, like how can they not walk into the dressing room at training camp and not feel as though management is sending them a signal that they expect them to be competitive this year? I love that. Like, I know a lot of people are going to say patience, it's a rebuild, no rush, I'm not saying like to me, having Laine up there, it means that you can take more time with your young forwards and everything else, right? So I think this is not rushing. This is rewarding. It's trying to positively reinforce the behavior that they want. So I love this on so many levels. I don't think they'll maybe they would have to still have a lot of things go right in order to make the playoffs. But for me, this solidifies that I think they might be slightly above the bottom 10 team that I thought they were going to be before this move.
Yeah. And you remember one of the areas that we said, Coach, I think it was on Sunday, we showed all the stats there. One of the areas that we were weak in, and we said, where do we have to improve the most? It's the special teams. And so that alone can translate to, I'd say, easily another 5 to 10 victories in that regard. When we think about the number of 1-goal games that they were involved in, we also did that research and saw that Montreal was either tied or winning in two of the 3 periods that they played in. It's really that one period where they don't have that extra, elite kind of player that can keep them not only in the game, but it can be a game breaker at the same time. And now, hopefully, they do, or they're building towards that.
Let's address the other side of this, guys, because I've seen a lot of comments in here, right? So let's talk about the potential downside. Okay, because we've been pretty focused on what this does positively, right? So here are some of the arguments that we're hearing. Okay, so Patrik Laine has a negative attitude. He's always been a problem wherever he's been, right? So listen, Ken Hughes addressed this. Like they interviewed him. Jeff Gordon, Ken Hughes, and Martin Saint-Louis all interviewed him over the weekend, and they felt very, very good that that first of all he was in a good place mentally. They obviously had an opportunity to look at all of his medical records. They interviewed his dog. They interviewed everybody. They did all their research. So they feel pretty confident about it. And one of the reasons that Ken Hughes felt confident about it is the overall strength of the room. So to me, it's going to be hard for a guy like Patrik Laine. And to me, like, I really believed what he said in his press conference that, like a lot of people think that being in a tough market like Montreal is going to actually break him because of the pressure. Sometimes players just need to play in a pressure-filled environment, right? Think of Max Domi in his first year in Montreal. Like, he absolutely loved playing in a pressure market, and he had his best season in his career playing his first year in Montreal. So in terms of him being a bad influence, I don't know if I believe that. The other thing is, okay, so he's going to be injured, or it's too big of a risk because of the money and everything else. Like Coach explained off the top, it really has zero impact on what Montreal is building in terms of a template and in terms of where they're going to be in 2 years from now. When Demidov is ready, when Doc has to re-sign, when some of the other younger players that already haven't been locked in need to be locked in and re-signed for their first deal outside of their entry-level contract. Either Laine, they can let him walk, or if he's still killing it, then they have a great asset and they can maybe even re-sign him. Like, to me, there's very little risk here, guys. Like, tell me what the risk is. Like, if it doesn't work, if he's injured all the time, if he doesn't produce, and if he's a dick in the locker room, then you know what? Like, all you lost is Jordan Harris. And not to disparage Jordan Harris, he's a very serviceable player.
No,
really, really nice kid too. Like, everything we hear, he's a great kid, great attitude. So great for him, like great opportunity for him in Columbus, because it was going to be really hard for him to find a spot playing with Montreal long term. So, to me, the cost, and again, we like the second round pick, guys. You're also getting a second round pick. Yeah. It's probably going to be like at least a mid round pick.
The other thing, Marko, is also he has a lot of pride, right? He knows that he hasn't had two or three very good years now by his standards. If you still look at the stats, they're not bad. He's almost at a point per game pace. But I mean, he wants to bet on himself. He wants to prove to everybody that he was a number 2 overall in what was it, 2016 or 17 when he was drafted. And he's going to bank on himself, whether it's with Montreal or not. He's going to go out there and give everything he's got. And like you said, I mean, that interview that Columbus was gracious enough to grant to Martin St. Louis and the two GMs, fantastic. They did their work. They took their time. They knew, be patient, let this play out. A lot of teams cannot afford to pick up Laine. The bottom end teams are maybe not that interested right now. Some teams will have red flags out for him. This will play out positively, and it turned out in Montreal's favor in this case. So it's all a win-win situation. Like, I don't really see, if this were a 5 or 6 year length in contract, then there's a lot of worry.
Totally
but 2 years is not a huge commitment.
I love this comment by XLS Parta. Laine versus Matthews rivalry is back. I couldn't agree more, man. Like that was one of the first things I thought of as well too, right? Like, for those of you who don't remember, like,
they were same year.
Like, we're not going to compare Laine and Matthews, right? But if you look back, like in that first year, it was a little bit of a debate. Like, Laine kind of came out and had a stronger start to his career in that first year than Matthews did, right? Obviously, that didn't pan out the same way, right? But it's interesting, right? Like, it's just another interesting point of comparison for Montreal and Toronto. So I think that would be great for the rivalry for sure. The Enortap, you're right, man. Like, ultimately here, I just really don't see the risk. Again, I see people saying like, we're talking like we know Laine personally. No, like, of course, we're just going off kind of the reports that we're hearing and everything else. And you go by good faith, right? Like, and based on kind of what you're hearing. Like, I was impressed with the interview. I thought he looked relaxed. He looked confident. So definitely some good signals. But again, like, you're not really going to know how this player is going to react. So to me, I trust me, I'm somebody that doesn't like to get their hopes up. Okay. I don't like getting my spirits crushed. I always keep my expectations very, very low. So I'm very pumped for this because, again, I don't think I can think of an acquisition that Montreal's had that's had this high of a ceiling, and so I'm very excited at the upside of this deal. And I don't really see the downside. Like, what is Montreal losing if it doesn't work out? Not much. I just really don't see how anybody can be upset at this deal. I just don't see it. It's a really, like I said, it's a great signal to the team, giving them a bit of a boost, and going into the season with, some belief that they have a team that's going to be able to compete. But they have to stay healthy. That's really the key.
Yeah, well, and Doc is the real key to all of this.
Yeah, many ways to evaluate that trait, right? It's like some like I read by the time you talk, I don't listen to all of you, but I'm watching what's going on the chat. Honestly, I like first of all, guys, if you are new here, welcome to the show. And don't forget to subscribe. And we do every Sunday and Wednesday, guys. We talk about the Montreal Canadiens during the off summer. And tomorrow night, we have a special show about the Montreal Expos. If you've been a baseball fans of the Montreal Expo, we have a special show tomorrow night. But also Wednesday, I have another show. And every Sunday night, like I mentioned to you, don't forget, please, to click on the like. For me, at the end of the day, the trade costs Montreal Canadiens not much. Jordan Harris.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Secondly, the risk is not big at the end of the day. If he's hurt, long-term injury reserve. If he does not perform like you expect, not big deal. He's only here for 2 years. And don't worry about the money. The Montreal have no problem with the salary, with the money. So for me, if you put this all together, what's the risk? Thirdly, they did the homework, the Montreal Canadiens. Fourthly, I always said I always going to give a second chance to someone is honest, and he gave his he's honest with everything. He just said to them he's motivated. He opened up, guy. He could refuse to come in Montreal. By the way, if I'm right, He have a limit.
He could have, but it wasn't on his no trade list.
Yeah. So thirdly, I would say to you with him right now, he just want to prove it. He want to come back. He's really right now fired up. How long he will be, we'll see. He's not a perfect player. He struggled on defensive zone. He need to improve those areas of the game. But again, I think Montreal Canadiens, they don't have anybody. They don't have nobody. It's not. They have one. They don't have anybody can play on the second line. That's simple. Right. Yeah. Now you have a potential guy can score 25, 30, 35, maybe 40. The time will tell us. That improve also another area. I think the power play become better with him, and we'll see what could happen with Laine Hudson. Everybody talk about the chemistry Hudson Demidav. Now imagine him with Hudson too. Again, I just feel like a lot of boostive things for the Montreal Canadiens at the beginning of the season. Like every year, never know what could happen. It does not work, guys. He's out in 2 years, where everybody's coming after 2 years. You're going to have Dimitrov now next season. You're going to have maybe Michael Edge is going to join. You have a more experience with Owen Beck, and we'll see what they get. And for me right now, it's my UF3 players. That's how I see that trade today. If you go on UF3, you get a 6-year, 7-year contract, and you never know what turn around. Now you take a good players if he play the level he's supposed to play for only 2 years.
He's 26, right? Yeah,
he's only 26 years old.
Yeah, that's what we forget.
Yeah,
and let me just put it in perspective. We had a bit of a jam log at defense, especially on the left side, right? So chances are Harris was going to go. Now let's assume they were just interested in trading Harris today on the market. What would they get in return?
Yeah.
Would they get a second? Would they get a second round pick?
If they're
only
lucky.
If they're lucky, right?
Yeah.
So let's take Laine out of the equation. You basically gave away Harris and got a second, and that's if everything goes wrong with Laine and nothing happens, and the upside is just a bonus.
Yeah, because and for those, like, I see some people saying, well, it's not free, it costs $8.7 million. Well, guys, we're not paying for it. Well, maybe we are indirectly by buying their products and buying tickets and stuff like that, watching it on TV. But it's not our money, right? Like, it's I always find it funny that people feel personally offended, like, you know, somebody is making too much for what, like, yes, like sometimes, like, you could argue Gallagher and Anderson getting paid more than they deserve. Like, that's negatively impacting the team because their production doesn't match what they're getting paid, and that's a problem for building a roster and all that. But if, like Enortap said, if you just look at the value that Montreal got out of this trade, I really don't see any downside. I really don't. Like, Ken Hughes, I'm not going to call him a genius because obviously he,
call him the genius. I called this like 6 months ago.
You want to call him? You were saying he was the best
again,
GM.
Marko, every time you said you have to wait when you did the rebuilding, the roster construction, everything like that. But since that, Marko, he hammer every time. He make the right bricks at the same time, and he make better and better and better. Look what he did.
Well, so you're right. So thanks for putting that back in my face. But it's true. Like, to me, the biggest test for Ken Hughes. I listen. I'm not saying he doesn't done a great job. The hardest part in any rebuild, like you've heard me say many times here before, is not tearing it down, drafting and collecting assets. The hardest part is putting together the chemistry, like the Ottawa Senators, the Buffalo Sabres, teams that have these endless rebuilds that they just can't put together the pieces and make it work, right? This is a very interesting move, a very bold move. It's definitely a need that Montreal has. So very good. So let's see Ken Hughes continue to, build this roster. Like I said, like, coach, and for those of you who didn't watch that episode, and there's a lot of new people here probably watching, go back, watch our episode from, I believe, last Wednesday. We did and there's a shorter version of it as well, I think, where we go through and we look at, I think it's called Road to the Playoffs, I think is the name of the video. In that video, there's all these great tables that show you, what Montreal needs to do to be in the mix of the playoffs, how many goals they need to score. It even has a breakdown of each line, goals by line for each team that was between 7th and 10th spot that made it into the playoffs last year. And like I said earlier,
the defense.
Yeah, and defense and all that. So it's a great breakdown. Coach, we're going to have to redo it now. Like, we should, next episode, we need to kind of look at all that information and reassess where we think Montreal is going to be. I don't know if we have to, if it's been long to really think about it yet, but it's a game changer, right? It changes what's going to happen this season, I think.
Including the size, right? Including the size, because you brought in a 6'4", and is he 4 or 5? 6'4", 6'5", and you took out a 5'11" player, so that's going to change the aggregate.
Yeah.
The good thing about that is just like make the Montreal Canadiens fans more excited. Can Hughes give a good reward to his players, so the players will get more motivated, and then after that for me, I don't think they are going to make the playoff, right? But for the players, only them, right? Them, they believe they can make the playoff. They see that to add that kind of players, put this together with Kirby Doc. This is a kind of team now is getting more closer to maybe have 85 points to 90 points. Wednesday night, we're going to do about 2 things Wednesday night, guys. Don't miss the show. Wednesday night, we're going to do a projection of the upcoming season. It's a little bit early, but we're going to give you one in August. Then we're going to give you one, honestly, at the beginning of October. But we have another subject Wednesday night with Marko, because Marko asked me to do some research. It's about the second line, Marko. Maybe you can, second period, maybe you can explain in 30 seconds what it's all about.
Yeah, like for anybody who watched a lot of the games, not just last year, but the last season, a recurring theme that we see with Montreal is, just in terms of observing, it seems like Montreal was getting killed always in the second period, right? And I never had the opportunity to really go and do all the research to see how does Montreal stack up next to other teams with respect to goals for and goals against the second period. There's a lot of discussions that we had about, is it the hybrid, kind of man-to-man defense style that they play? We had a lot of debates last year throughout the whole season on this show about why Montreal always gets stuck in their zone. So coach did the homework, went in and looked, and there's some surprising things about goals per period that I think you guys will find very interesting. So definitely tune in for that. Something to, like, the reason we're doing this, guys, and this is different. Like, I don't want to criticize other podcasts, coach, but we go deep here, guys. So yes, we talk about the trades, we talk about the fun things. We go a little deeper here. There's some other podcasts. They spend half the podcast talking about their vacation. Here we talk about hockey. We deep dive. We get into some of the stats. So if you're into that kind of thing, we invite you to subscribe, like this video, and definitely stay tuned, because the next couple shows we're going to be deep diving even more.
Thanks so much, Marko. Explain everybody. Keep consistent, guys. Don't forget to click on the like. I saw a lot of great comments about that trade. I still have Luke. I think not Luke Aforson, but Luke go Habs go. He's still not sure about Patrik Laine. Hey, that's okay. It's not. I think Roy texted me this morning. He said that this is a mistake. Everything like that. I can understand the opinion, because they still feel that he's not going to change. Going to be the same kind of player he did in the past. Everything like that. But again, I think we gave a little bit a better explanation, the cost of the trade, the cost of what the player can do for Montreal for the next 2 years. Both of them are really low, and Montreal have nothing to lose at the end of the day. It's not working, guys. Next year, it can be traded during off summer. It can be traded during the trade deadline if you have to, and I can go all the way until his end of final year contract. So Montreal Canadiens at the end are a really good position. And I think to have a guy like him with talent, skill on the ice, practice-wise, shot-wise, I think Cole Caulfield can learn something. Again, I'm maybe out of.
Oh yeah,
maybe that's what I was saying. Yeah.
Well, not only Caulfield, coach, but
Caulfield.
No, not only Caulfield, but who on the Montreal Canadiens is a former first overall pick that we all feel needs to work on his shot? Is he some number 20, Uri Slafkovsky? Do you think he could maybe, benefit from having a guy like Laine in these entourage to learn how to shoot the puck?
Yeah,
absolutely. I thought it was maybe a controversy statement, but I think you're right. I think Slafkovsky can learn about his size, everything like that, and I think you turn around to be right.
We love the shot doctor and everything, and Tim Turk and all that, but if you can have a guy that has that kind of shot, and
guys, what, it would be good to invite Tim Turk next 3 weeks to ask him about what he's thinking about, why he have a good shot, everything like that. I think that would be good. They gave us maybe 5 different players. Why do you believe that shot is so good compared to other players? I think that would be good about that.
We were talking about this the other day as well. And if you look around the league, there aren't that many players that are taking slap shots anymore. And the ones that do are usually on the power play from those desired spots. And who are the key ones? Guys like Stamkos, Pasternak, Laine's one of them as well. These are the kind of guys that have success with the Stamkos, that have success on that one-timer, and they've got a great slap shot as well that's very little utilized now.
And I know a lot of people are going to say, they're going to roll their eyes when I say this, right? But what I really liked about Laine, I didn't love a lot of the questions that the media asked. Like, there were some questions I thought it was very repetitive. They were really focused on, what did you learn about your time in the program and all that. Like, I think after he answered it once, I think that was enough. But one thing that I did like, though, was the question about, hey, what is it about your game other than your shot, right? And he said that he felt that his overall game is underrated. Like, he thinks he's a good playmaker. He thinks he can play hard. So listen, guys, like in hockey, it's what they call a B game. We all know that Laine's A game is one-timers and scoring goals, shooting the puck, right? But if you can develop a B game, and Kent Hughes talked about this too in his press conference, he's like, and to me, like, this puts, I don't know if Laine experienced this on other teams, but if he entered the season thinking, if I don't score 40 or 50 goals, it's a failure, right? But the way that Kent Hughes and St. Louis seems, the way that they're setting it up is, don't worry about the amount of goals. What we want you to do is help the team win. and those are the things that you want to hear, right? Like, but then he said that he wants to score 40 or 50 goals, which is fine. Like those both things can be true. A guy like that is going to be programmed to score goals, but it does sound like he at least realizes that he has to do other things to help the team win, and he genuinely seems pretty excited to be there. So again, some people might roll their eyes, oh, he's just saying that because he's starting, like, and I get that. You may be right. Maybe he's not being sincere. Maybe he's gonna be lazy. Like, it could not work. It's quite possible. Based on the track record, I can see why people would feel that way. But like we've kept saying, if it doesn't work, it's not a huge deal. And if it does, then it's a huge, huge game changer for Montreal. And for what they paid, I think it's well worth the risk.
Again, like Mr. Rick Bengal is in the house with the beautiful.
Hey, welcome, Rick.
I don't know. I was going to say with beautiful Camilla.
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 Oh.
Big night for Camilla tonight.
I don't know why, but I'm just laughing about that. I don't know why. But like Ronnie is 100% against Luc. Go 100%. I think Luc Fortin is also 100% about this.
Ellen
agrees.
Ellen is good. Also. Ellen is with us on this one. Good.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good.
Thanks for everybody to join us tonight. We talk about the trade happening today for the Montreal Canadiens. Again, I always said I will give it a chance. We'll see it look like, and if it works, great. If it does not work, it is what it is. But again, I think you have other asset. Not only he can score, but also helping the power play. That's underway, and that would make, for me, he make the piece of the puzzle better, right? He missing a piece. Now he get that piece, the power play, the second line. That's why we have that one over there. I'll bring back down. And now I think at the training camp, guys, everybody said, "Oh, it's time for Joshua Webb." But why not Joshua Webb fight for the spot of Alex Newhook?
Yeah, 100%. Like nothing is locked in stone, guys. Like we're trying to kind of guess what the lines are going to look like. But Ken Hughes said that himself, right? Like lots of things change in the season. Hopefully it's not just injuries and long injuries this year, but sometimes you just need to change the lines around. So it's not impossible that they break up that first line at some points during the season and you see players moving around. That's fine. We expect to see that. But the most exciting thing for me is you have that player that takes that spot, and then all of a sudden you just have so many more options, right? Like it's crazy the amount of flexibility that St. Louis is going to have.
And it's not like there isn't a spot there for a while if he earns it. Last year he showed what he can bring to the table. He can still make that fourth line and work his way up if he has to. There's nothing that says that Beret Boulay is going to get that left wing on.
No.
Over,
he's got Laval written all over. Like, in my opinion, like so. It would take a pretty big emergency for Montreal to call up Barry Boulet. Like we've talked about when we signed him. For those of you who don't remember or didn't watch it, our feeling here is that Habs management wasn't super happy with the veteran presence that they had with the Laval Rocket last year, which is why you saw a lot of their AHL veterans guys like Maillet and players like that. They're not there anymore. So they bring in on Barry Boulet, who's like an over a point a game player in the AHL. They want to give Laval some better veterans. So they would have to be very, very kind of in a tough position, I think, to call him up. Where it gets more complex for a while, I said, is Demidov. When Demidov shows up next year, then it gets a bit tricky because you've got Newhook, you've got Demidov, and you've got Caulfield playing left wing. So,
but you might be losing a player too, right? Through the trade deadline. So expiring contracts that are coming up. So the room will be there. The space will be there for him as long as he continues to improve his game, and so far he's shown nothing but.
Yeah. So we talked a lot about positive things. How are we doing for time? So we still have a little bit of time, guys. So I think Coach, we're all excited about what it's going to bring offensively and how many options that's going to give. And we're all praying that the team will stay healthy this year. I guess the question is still really defensively, right? Like we haven't talked too much about the impact of Jordan Harris not being there, so I don't think it impacts the decor very much. Like we said, he was going to be battling for probably like the bottom pair. Probably you do lose one guy that had the ability to play on the right side,
both sides.
Yeah, so and I think we both mentioned Enortap that we would have loved to see Gouli put on his left side. And if you were going to play a left-handed guy on the right, we're like, might as well do it with Harris because you don't really care too much about his long-term development. So now you lose that, unless you really think that you're going to have both Reinbacher and Mailloux make the lineup this year. You're going to have to play Gouli on the right again. So I still don't love that. I still feel very, very strongly that Gouli needs to play on the left this year. But even with Harris, like this is how much depth Montreal has, guys, on defense. Even with Harris gone, if they put Gouli on the left side, you're still going to have to scratch either who. So you'd have Matheson.
Well, you'd have Matheson and Goulet, Goulet both on the first line, probably, right? And then Hudson.
But if you wanted to put Gouli on the left, is what I mean. So if you wanted to put Gouli on the left, then you'd have Matheson, Gouli, and Hudson, which means you're scratching Jacky, which nobody wants.
Right.
I'm not saying that. Don't fucking throw things at me in the chat.
But remember, Marko, you have now Savard, Barron, and now you have to get there or Reinbacher.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So if you want to play Gouli on the left, which I really think they should, I don't want to see him, not because he can't do it, but I think he puts himself in more vulnerable positions. His puck retrievals, he just doesn't read the play well enough
as well. Yeah,
pivot on his left side and play on his wrong side. It's just better for him if he plays on the left side. So if you're going to do that, though, then that means you have to play Jacky on the right. If you're not going to bench him, or he's going to be your seventh defenseman. So that's how much depth Montreal has on the left side, guys. They traded Harris, and they still have probably two extra left defensemen that are NHL caliber, right?
Yeah.
So still lots of, like, to me, it doesn't change. Some people were saying like, oh, that simplifies the decision on the back end for Montreal. It doesn't. It's still going to be an absolute war and an absolute kind of, dogfight to see who's going to make the opening roster on defense, guys.
Well, what it means, Marko, is Gouli's going to be on that right side. And I know neither one of us likes that. And
I hate it.
I know. But that's, I think, where it's headed. Because you look at it, realistically, you have Jacky, Barron, and Struble that are going to probably be fighting. To two of those will be playing. One of them will be sitting out for the evening, and they'll probably alternate between the three.
Coach, can you flip back to that slide where we have the lineup so that we can look at it while we talk about it?
Man, what I would say to you guys, it's still. I know, Marko, when you want to talk about to put him on the left side, but I think we still have one more year at least until Reinbacher and Mailloux join the team. They're going to get him until they keep or not Madison. That's the problem. You can not get Caden Cooley on the left side, unfortunately, because of Madison, because you cannot put Laine Hudson on the third line, on the third pairing. I think that would be that at some point he's just jammed. And Reinbacher, Mailloux, I believe it's a 1-2 punch over there. And then you have Cooley, and hopefully Hudson become that player over there, number 2. And number 3, I hope it will be Angstrom or Jacky on number 3. And Koniskov is going to be my third pairing there. Now I'm thinking about 3-4 years from today. But still, this will be the perfect scenario of the Montreal Canadiens.
I get it, Coach. Like, I know where we're going. I'm just very concerned about Caden Gouli playing a whole season again on the right side. I'm not saying it's going to stall his development. Like, I still believe he's going to play very important minutes, all that. Like, it's just really like, first of all, I really do think he struggles retrieving the puck. And, we talked about Montreal getting stuck in their zone a lot in the second period. I'm not shitting all over Gouli here. I'm just saying that, in my opinion, like, his puck retrievals when he's on his wrong side, he often hesitates a bit, and Montreal gets trapped in their zone a lot. It happens way too much, and it's not his fault. Like, he's playing on his wrong side. Some players
Yeah.
can do it. Some players can do it. It has a lot to do with your agility, and you're able to do that. I'm not saying he's not agile, but it's just not. I don't think it's a good spot for him. And I know in the
Well,
long
Marko,
term,
not to open up a can of worms again, but because we've been
yeah,
here and visited this before.
yeah,
But if you want to make space on the left side, again,
yeah,
what's your best asset right now in terms of value on the market? And that's Matheson. And then
yeah,
that gives you a progression on the right side because you have either Logan Mailloux or you have Reinbacher coming up the system. That'll fill that gap up where Caden Gooley moves
yeah.
over to the left,
I
and
think what you,
you're gonna get some good assets for Mike Matheson if you sell
yeah,
high.
yeah. And I listen, like, the only thing that would make me hesitate there is the amount of defensemen that you then have that are under 250 games in the NHL. It leaves you only with
Yeah,
Savall,
yeah,
right?
that's a good point. Good
And
point.
then Gouli, it becomes your sec, because I think Harris, after Savard and Matheson, was their third most experienced defenseman. Believe it or not, it's not like he's old, but he was their third most experienced defenseman. Now it's Gouli, right? So in order to move Matheson to make that space for Cooley to move to the left side, they're going to have to show that, like, some of these guys on the back end are going to need to show a lot of patience, a lot of maturity, and show that they don't need that veteran presence. Which means then the only way to really see that, guys, is to see Montreal play some games that mean something, right? So hopefully they will be in the mix, because, again, like we talked about how disappointing last season was, because we didn't get to see what Kirby Doc is. We didn't really get to see what Newhook is for a full season. To me, having Gouli playing on the right side, you're still not getting a true representation or evaluation of what he's going to be, right? So I don't know. Like, that's it. Like, listen, these are good. They're not the worst problems to have. I would much rather be in this position than some other teams, to be honest. But now I'm kind of nitpicking, right? In terms of where they are here, but
It's
uh,
a good sign.
Coach, yeah, it's good overall, right? But looking at this lineup, Coach, maybe we spent a lot of time on this show talking about kind of what this means for the offense. I think we need to do so we're going to do that deep dive, like Coach was talking about. We're going to look at goals per period and see what that's like. And let us know in the chat, guys, and in the comments, what other analysis do you want to see from us, like, leading up to the season? Like, what questions do you have? What does
Right. One
Montreal need
question
to
they
do?
ask us for Rudolph, they ask how many goals you expect Laine score next
Yeah,
next season. So we're going to
yeah.
do more projection Wednesday, but tonight we can mention what will be your expectation of Laine for the upcoming season with the Montreal Canadiens if he stay healthy.
Go ahead, Enortap. You go first.
Well, I'm going to be very cautious here, right? I'm going to say if he puts in 25, and I know he can do better, but if he puts in 25, that's 25 goals you didn't have before, and that's getting a little bit closer to the magic number of 280 that we were talking about in terms of at least being in the race for a playoff spot.
Yeah, I'm right with you, man. Like, if he's healthy, like, if he plays anywhere between 70 and 82 games, I think easily he could score 35 goals. Maybe even 40 goals. But if you have to go on kind of history, right? Like, and guys, like, I don't know if we talked about it or if everybody knows what the injury that Laine had last year was. A shoulder injury. He says that it feels great. He says that he's to quote exactly what he said, he's like, I'm ripping the puck right now, which is a good sign. So his shoulder seems to be in good spirit. I don't know what other injuries that he's had. I'm not going to lie. Like, do you guys know what kind of injuries he had before this shoulder injury? Do you guys know?
Not offhand, no.
It was not a risk.
I'm not sure. So maybe something we can look at. But he's coming off shoulder problem, right? And it sounds like
I think it's the wrist. I can look, but I think it's the wrist.
Yeah.
It could have been.
So to me, it's all about and my brother who was on the chat earlier. Sorry if you're still here, Mike. How's it going? Sorry, I didn't say hi. But my brother pointed out, the biggest concern for sure is not really the production, because if you look at his last couple of seasons, he's almost a point per game, even when he's not playing a lot of games. So it's really, he just needs to stay healthy, right? So if he stays healthy, then I think it can be 35, 40 goals. If it's going to be a shortened season, then like Enortap said, if we can squeeze 20, 25 goals from him, that gets us really close to the targets that we were looking at last week in terms of being competitive and being in the mix.
Yeah, they gave me only the shoulder injury. So everybody, thanks to be with us. Don't forget to click on the like. That'd be awesome. And for me, I'm talking about 32 goals for him. I think it'll be my projection for him. Because honestly, the power play Montreal is not like one of the best in the NHL. So I think he's going to be second line. So he's going to be on the first line. So his TOI would be lower. So 32 goals will be my projection for him. We'll see if he can reach those number.
Okay, so we're seeing in the chat here. So they're saying some people said he was a wrist injury, and then somebody said that he had a clavicle injury. Like, to me, if that's true,
then
that's true. These are not kind of like a career threatening, kind of like impairing. It's not like like a restructured knee or something like that, or a back problem that's reoccurring or something like this is kind of like the injuries that Doc has had. Maybe it's just kind of like bad luck. And let's be honest, guys. Sometimes and Laine admitted that himself, that he just hasn't been happy playing the game in the last 2-3 years, right? So sometimes if you're not happy and if you're not in a good place mentally, sometimes you just don't play through injuries like you would if you actually give a shit. Not to be mean, but hockey players play through all kinds of injuries, right? So maybe if he's passionate about playing for Montreal, he loves what he's doing, and he really has the team's success in mind, maybe he plays through injuries that he hasn't played through in the past, right?
I just want to remind everybody, I'm sorry, Marko, but we know it was a shoulder problem, but we have an injury before that. That's what Marko is looking for, is the injury before that. That's the one of the bad.
It was a clavicle.
Just remember, guys, also, to add him is a great, but is the team gave 3 goals per game average every game, right? So we can go that way, but they have to go that way too, and then we're not sure it's going to look like on that way too. So it's going to be also a team going to struggle to get those goals again average per game. Hopefully they will be less last season. That's what, but they have an average of 3 goals plus in the last 3 seasons under Martin St. Louis, and of course at the beginning Dominic Chum. So this is the reality behind that, and we have to remember it's only going to be great, and then we're going to make the playoff. For me, this is a time where it's getting excited for the Montreal Canadiens fans. Why? Now you have at least, and I'm going to be wrong here, Marko, but Enortap, but I believe they are possible a 4th scorer of 30 goals. I don't say they all score 30 goals, but Zuski 33, Caulfield can get 33 at 30. Laine can get 30, and then Sakoski can get that number too. And I think you would see Sakoski at 28 minimum, Marko.
No, I have Slafkovsky. Again, I've always said that Slafkovsky is not primarily a goal scorer. I look at Slafkovsky more like 25 range, 30. Maybe he'll score 31 goal, but in his career, he might do it once or twice.
But at the end of the day, you're getting now a team can put a puck in the net. Yeah, but when's the last time you get those players? I think you have to go all the way to Danfous and Turgeon together. Or the
let's count how many.
Stéphane Richer.
Yeah, let's talk. Let's see how many potential. Let's say at least 20 goal scorers. Okay, so you got Suzuki for sure, 20 goal scorer.
Slavkovsky.
Okay.
Caulfield. Yeah.
The first line is right there, Marko. The second line is right there. That's 6.
Yeah. So, but then, okay. So then in your third line, you have Anderson, Gallagher, and Dvorak that are right there. They have the potential. They're either some of them have scored 20 goals or they're right around 18 around there, right? And then you also have Joshua Roy that if he gets minutes, potentially he could score 20 goals. So conservatively,
you have a minimum of 6.
Minimum of 6, but you have maybe like a total of at least 9 players that will at least score over 15 goals. At least, right? So that to me, that's a lot of depth. And you're right, Coach. Like, I don't know. I think you were probably really reading the chat when I was saying this earlier. But like this show, we're focusing so much on the offense because we're all excited about Patrik Laine, right? But next show, we're going to be looking at the goals against per period and all that. And you're right. Like the only way that this team is going to be competitive is if they hit certain targets and benchmarks that we looked at
in that Marko last week, right? We had 25 goals on the goal for that would give them about 231, so about 255, and then they have to drop 30 goals of the goal again, minimum, like to get a good pace to get on that race for that. For me, today, it made me a team have a better year if he stay healthy, a better chance to have a better year to watching them to play hockey. And we didn't mention that. For me, I can't wait to see Enortap. If Enortap part of the roster with that players also, this is going to be fun to watch. We're really excited when Jekai is there. We're really excited when we see Sakoski. And this is just getting more fun to watch. We do all the game play-by-play all year long. I think as the fans, it's just getting more interested to have a more excitement, whatever is the losing or winning. And I think that's for me. That's what I'm looking for the upcoming season. Is now to get that players because we ask all summer who's going to be a second line, the second player, on the second line, that forward. And now you get a 6'5", possibly a guy can put the puck 30 goals if he stay healthy. And I see positive. I don't want to be negative. I know what he did in the past. I know where we know all his resume. Let him give him a chance to prove it. If he's wrong, guys, it's only 2 years. For me, this is what I like about that. It's only 2 years. Goodbye. That's it. That's how we move on. Dimitriev's coming now after that. And you never know what can use have under his sleeve to make another big trade at some point to have that kind. But the top 9 guys, we're looking good. The top 9 now, if you look about your top 9, there's something we can do. I can do compare the Atlantic Division, Marko, now. The top 9 of all team versus what we got. We're not looking bad at all now.
What about actually even more interesting? Compare the bottom 6 of each team. Montreal. I bet you Montreal has probably one of the best bottom 6 in the entire NHL. I'm not going to lie. Like,
maybe not there, but
okay. Well, I'd be curious.
In the top 10,
it's like bottom 6 in NHL, guys. We have to, we still have a Pesada, Jake Evans.
No. Jake Evans on your fourth line. So
you know what I mean?
Okay, again, go back to that slide with the roster, Coach, so we can look at it. You'll see what I mean. You got on your third line, you've got Dvorak, Anderson, and Joshua Roy potentially. That I think competes with every third line, and then the fourth line, Gallagher, Armia, and Evans. Other than Vegas, when they had that really, really good fourth line, and maybe Boston a couple of years ago, or the Islanders, there's not many fourth lines in the NHL that have potentially a former 30 goal
It's funny when you see that, Marko, on the 4 line. Last season, that line gave you 40 goals.
Yeah.
But they were injured. A lot of them were injured.
7.
Yeah.
But in all fairness, a lot of them were injured too, right? Like you had Dvorak out for extended periods of time. Joshua Roy wasn't there the whole year. Anderson probably had the worst year of his career.
He's saying just the fourth line, but just the fourth line, he's saying they gave you 40 goals last year. If we go back to last show, the average team, I think, had something like 20-something goals. So we're doubling the production of fourth lines that were.
And Armia was in Laval a couple times.
Yeah. So I really like Montreal's bottom 6. Now, you can say that they're really freaking expensive. Like when you have a guy making $6.5 million on your fourth line, that's not something you can manage over the long term when when your other players start coming off their entry level contracts and everything. But I'm saying right now, and you can be critical. You can say, look, you look at Josh Anderson and Gallagher, that's like, over like $12 million that's allocated probably not in the best way. But because you're getting such good discounts from Caulfield and Suzuki and Slafkovsky, it doesn't hurt you right now. And that's why they can get Laine. And it's not
pretty much,
really
and pretty much your entire defense, because they're so young and they're still under
that's where
their original
that's where
contract.
your costs are going to go way up on defense, right? Like Gouli, this is the last year of his entry level deal, so that's going to go up. Then eventually you're going to have to pay Reinbacher, Mayu, Hudson. So yeah, like right now the proportion of their salary cap is a lot more on the forwards, but that's going to change for sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. The chat constantly moving, everything like that. Golden must be superior also this year. I agree about this. Someone because something we still have, we don't have grits. We don't have a grit. We're missing, for checking. We need to improve those areas of the game.
Okay,
For
let
sure.
me push
Again,
back on that.
guys,
I don't
that's
agree.
not necessarily true.
We don't win the Stanley Cup tonight. For everybody in the chat, we're not going to get that part. For me,
can't say
it's
that you don't
great
have grit.
excitement. That's the only thing for me. And I hope I gave the doubt to Patrik to become better. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. But you can't say that they don't have grit. So on every line, you can say there's a grit. Got Slafkovsky on the first line, absolutely has grit.
No, I'm talking about the bottom six, Marko. We don't have we don't. It's not Armia. It's not Gallagher. It's not Jake Evans.
Gallagher doesn't play with grit.
Gallagher's your emotional legend.
What?
Come on, Gallagher doesn't play with grit. What are you talking about?
He's always in front of the net. He's always
he goes for checking behind the net, and he's getting there. He's going for the net, right? And for the net after that, what he does, like he get pushed around. He's 5'9", the Gales. But it's not like the guy can go under like Nicolas Rouel, Kozar, or Carrier. He's not a guy with speed to get at the corner to
he's
get.
Not a power forward. He's not a power forward.
Okay,
you're right.
Different. That's not playing. What you're describing is not playing with grit. What you're describing, coach, is not playing with grit. You're describing.
He's a guy crashed to the net. I understand that. I understand that. But and he plays right now. He's not the same kind of player he was like 6 years ago.
Of course, but he's not young that,
but and the statement that Montreal doesn't have any grit, I can point to a player on each line that has grit. So on this first line, Slafkovsky plays heavy, he plays along the boards, wins his board battles. Second line, Doc wins his board battles, he plays heavy. On the third line, Anderson, not consistently, but he can play that. He can play heavy, he can play gritty. He just needs to do it consistently. On the third line, Armia, I wouldn't call him gritty, but he plays heavy. He wins his board battles, and then I absolutely feel that. And Evans too, like Evans can win battles, like so. It's very competitive.
Wait. Grit for me is physical. It's physical. Hit. Okay, go in the corner, battle for the puck. Do you think Armia battle for the puck? He's going to hit the guy in the corner.
He's awesome at winning battles along the
no. He protects the puck well. He protects the puck well. That's what he does. But don't tell me Armia's going to be in the corner to hit the guy in the corner to hit that one over there. Yeah, only Anderson at the bottom six can do this. It's not Dvorak. It's not Armia. It's not Gallagher. It's not Jake Evans and Joshua Roy. The only one you can get that is Anderson. There's only one get there on the physicality of the game, and he can go on the grit, and he can go straight in the corner and get for that battle. The rest, it's not like
hitting is not the only way you can separate.
Yeah,
hitting is not the only way you can
separate
somebody from the puck, guys. Like,
it's
not the only way you can
separate
them. Go ahead, Enortap. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's not. I agree. It's not like Sam Bennett or a player of that ilk, like a Kachuk or whatever the case might be, but. I mean, it's not like they're angels out there. I mean, they can handle their own. I agree. They have to still improve in that category. but it's not like they're totally void of it right now.
No, like it's not a bunch of sweethearts out there. Like,
Yeah,
again, like
yeah.
this is not a Stanley Cup winning roster. That's not what I'm saying, right? It's not perfect, right? But to me, their bottom six absolutely it rivals most teams in the NHL. I'm very confident in saying that for sure. Now, again, the second line, has now we can say that there's a potential for a really potent second line. The only thing is that it has a lot of question marks in terms of the ability to stay healthy, right? You've got two of the most fragile players in the last 2 years playing on the same line, Doc and Laine, right? So, but if those calculations work and those risks work out, Montreal is a totally different team, in my opinion, because, I think the first line was proving to be, in the top half of the league. I wouldn't say like one of the best first lines in hockey, but, I'd say in the top half of the league in terms of what a first line can do, getting there, maybe not there yet, but a respectable first line. Montreal is never going to have, they don't have like a McKinnon and McDavid or Matthews. So they're not going to play their first line for 24 minutes a game like those other teams have. And I like that. Coach, you were showing that, what teams in the last 25 years have won the Stanley Cup that had 50 goal scorers and 100-point players. Like, there was only last year, Sam Reinhart was the only player that had scored over 50 goals that was on a Stanley Cup winning team. So in a way, I hope Laine doesn't score 50. He just, we would take 49, so that we don't break that streak.
Yeah, sorry about that. A lot of people talking about this fun subject about grit right now. They have a different opinion about this. Team toughness is more important than one or two gritty players on the team. Toughness, yes, I think that'll be one of them for sure. G said Laine is a project about that. Yeah, absolutely right. This is another project. It's fun. For me, I get excited like not like Marko. Marko is a little bit over time.
No,
I know, but
no. I didn't say they were going to make the playoffs, Coach.
No. I said no. I said your excitement is
very
higher at mine.
Yeah.
I said we have to wait a little bit more, but for me, it's excited to see those players together and what they're looking for. It's more fun to have a guy can put the puck 30 more time compared we don't have anybody right now. That's my point. It fixed a problem we have until we get the next one. The next one should be Demidov. That will be the next one. One Demidov will be a part of this. Will be another scenario.
And it's
lined up, right?
And Coach, it's not just the 2 years that works to our benefit. It's also the fact that in these 2 years, this is not a Stanley Cup challenging team yet. So if you're going to make a mistake on a trade like this is the perfect time, right? You'd hate to be a top 5 or 6 team, and all of a sudden you make this kind of a trade, because then it's a huge gamble.
Got news.
Patrik said we just got others match
Holloway and Broberg. Yeah,
I don't know if it's confirmed, but I don't trust Patrik. I just said he's the first one to mention that. So if anybody knows also that, that'd be great. Sometimes when we do live streaming, we cannot checking on the phone. I did not look my notification here, but that would be a great situation for Edmonton Oilers. I predict Oilers going to win the Stanley Cup 2025, guys. So sorry for the fans from Montreal Canadiens. I predict that one for this upcoming NHL playoff. So they match up. We have a good conversation with Enortap and Marko in the chat. Some maybe not match up everything. So Minnesota is right. And great. A lot of people, guys, don't forget, guys, click on the likes. We're missing about 7-8 to get 100. If it's happening, that will be the first time as a live stream, one specific show, we get the 100. So if you have a chance to click more likes, that'd be awesome. And we welcome everybody to chat there. And we have a super chat. Why not to finish that way? Super chat, William. You did it again. William McClary back in the house
Hype,
after a
hype.
couple of weeks out. We have Andy Kuivula, by the way, was in the house tonight. A lot of people, guys, if you are new, please don't forget to subscribe. Every Sunday night and Wednesday, we talk about the Montreal Canadiens. And tomorrow night, we have a special show. If you're baseball fans, whatever you love, the Mets, or you love the Cubs, or you love the White Sox, or you love the any other team, but you really fall in love with the Montreal Expos. Has joined 34 years from 69 all the way to 2004, I believe. That's just a place to get tomorrow night. It's not going to be a lot of fans. You're not going to see all the home run on the video, but you're going to talk about players. We'll talk about the season, the 94, the 79, the Rick Monday home run, and the players make an impact. Maybe many of you were old. One to the Pac Jory when was young at the beginning with Jane Mark, and then the John Bocabella, the Mac John, the Jonesville. And what is your memories? The hot dog, the peanut, the lambada on the dugout? Who knows? But that will be, there's something. We're going to talk about this tomorrow night. So stay tuned. Come back to join us tomorrow night at 8. We're going to consider a couple of more minutes. I want to mention a couple of people show up the first time. Daniel Forget tonight. Daniel was very active in the chat. Bring a lot of great posts every time. That hopefully Daniel is going to come back. We like to have people like you. And then we're going to open the door. Mr. Sharma, I believe I don't know his first name. I see Kartik Sharma. I don't want to pronounce badly his name.
Kartik.
Here we go.
Sharma.
Kartik Sharma, yeah.
Trade for
Yaroslav Askarov.
Askarov.
Yeah, sure.
I was like, the first time I see his first name, Yaroslav Askarov. Do you think, guys, you get that one? Do you think we should? You welcome Daniel Donald, by the way, and welcome in the house. First time, Donald, by the way. And what do you think about that? Do you think Montreal should targeting Askarov or not? Enortap.
Yeah, at this point, I don't think so. I think he's more probably suited for a team like Chicago. I think that would be a great pickup for them. He'll be developing with players more along his age group and whatnot. I think there's a lot of trust that's been put in Jacob Fowler. I think that's our big one. But you also have guys like Dobej, and we talked about Volikin as well not too long ago. I mean, these are guys that can eventually come up the system as well and do well. And let's not forget, I mean, yes, we have reservations, some reservations about Monty and Primo, but you know what? Sometimes all they need is that opportunity to play more games, and they start to come into their own. As we know, goalies take a while before they perform at a certain level, and maybe one of these two becomes, worst case scenario, you're a key backup for you.
Okay, guys, hear me out.
Fowler.
To me, now that they've acquired Laine, right? Because earlier we were saying, okay, they're probably gonna maybe save, either, some of the first round picks that they have next year, like Calgary's pick and all that. Like they have all these picks to maybe go out and get a top 6 forward. Well, guess what, guys? We just got our top 6 forward, right? So no need to spend that draft capital on that particular thing. The only thing maybe that they'll need to pick up is if for whatever reason Doc doesn't work out as a second line center, they might still need to do that. But assuming everything kind of works out as it looks like it's going to, here are my thoughts. To me, I love Fowler. I have a lot of hope for him and everything. But realistically, guys, he's at least 3 years away from playing in the NHL. And if he makes the NHL, it's not like he's going to be your starter right away, right? Like it's how often do you see a rookie come in and start like 55 games in the NHL and be successful? In 3 years from now, Montreal is going to be, they better be competing for a playoff spot, right? So are you really going to bring in a rookie goaltender in 3 years from now and expect him to kind of lead you to the playoffs? I don't know about that. And
it doesn't have to be through the pipeline, though, Marko.
Well, this is what I'm saying is that so Now that we've acquired Laine for nothing, essentially, for Harris, and we still have all these assets. So for me, I would absolutely, it depends what the cost is, right? But if you can get Askarov for Calgary's first round pick and like another defense prospect and like a Machar, or like not like you're one of your A prospects. Like I'm not trading Mayu, I'm not trading any of my right-handed defensemen, maybe Barron. But if you can get Askarov for Calgary's first round pick, another pick, and then like one of the depth defensemen and one of your B prospects, 100% I'm doing that, because to me, what Ken Hughes just did with Laine, like he did with Doc, with and Newhook, which is accelerating the rebuild.
Super tall. Welcome to the family.
Welcome. So by accelerating the rebuild by trading draft picks for Newhook and Doc, same thing with Laine. To me, this potentially moves things up a little bit further. So you bring Askarov. He can help you, in my opinion, be competitive right now this year. Even if you have to move like Montembeault going back, if you have Askarov and Primo as your backup, or even if they want Primo, whatever it is, if the cost is reasonable, I'm 100% doing Askarov. Even if Fowler, so when Fowler is ready in 3 or 4 years from now, you can slowly get him to, kind of be the backup, and there's no rush with him. With goaltenders, it takes a long time. So to me, I love the idea. And now, like I said, now that Montreal has gotten their top 6 forward, we have all these assets that we didn't need to spend to get him. What are you going to do with it other than getting potentially an elite goaltender to play for your team? I love the idea. I would absolutely do it.
Yeah, but what we're forgetting here is, okay, Askarov has put up extraordinary numbers in the AHL club, but in the games he's played with Nashville, he hasn't. And there's got to be a reason why right now they went and picked up a backup goalie instead of making him their transition goalie right behind Saros. I'm not saying that it's talent-wise. There's something there that does not
you do your homework
with the team.
You do your homework. If there's something, I don't know about that. Like he's only played.
I don't disagree with you, Marco. I think if it's a good deal and you can get him at a good price, but I doubt it that they're just going to give him away like they did Laine, right?
No. Well, no, and like I see people here saying 2 second round picks and Barron. No, it's going to cost you. No, you're going to at least have to pay a first round pick, because he's a former. I believe he was picked 8th or 11th overall. I can't remember, but pretty high, right? 8th or 11th overall. So this is a premium asset, guys. So now, again, if you can get him for a pick and you can start combining him, again, Machar is the first overall pick, if you can get somebody to believe that, I'm pretty down on Machar. But if you can get Nashville to bite on Machar, Montembeault, and a first round pick and a defenseman or something like that, 100%. I'm not trading Mayu and I'm not trading Reinbacher. We need those right-handed defensemen in the system, right? But if you're trading
again, we're speculating where his ceiling is. I'm not saying he's not a blue chip. He definitely is. He just hasn't shown it at an NHL level. It's like saying Dustin Wolf, same thing, right?
But Dustin Wolf is under 6 feet. Yeah, but Dustin Wolf is under 6 feet. Like this is a blue chip prospect that has every chance to win this, man. Like you can't compare Dustin Wolf and Askarov.
No, but they're not going to take Montembeault and a couple of other players like that.
They won't take any goalie anyway.
No, they don't. They won't. They're set in goaltending now.
They will get someone in American goalie. First of all, the second lady, we're targeting your top best defenseman. So pay the price for that one. That would be the first thing they're going to target. So I don't want to mention any one of them, but I'm talking about. That would be the first request about that. The second name I'm talking here, I have another player that can maybe help or the Predator at long term would be maybe Marko Edge. So that would be that trade they're going to targeting the Predator. A good forward, a top prospect D, and a goaltender in American Hockey League. That's pretty much it. And that would be the only thing. Again, I don't think that we want a goaltender. They will maybe targeting a second round pick or something like that. That would be the cost. Now, what you get Askarov, guys, is it's a little bit quicker to have a goaltender
Yeah.
and for the transition versus Fowler. How long? I think it's 2 years. I think Askarov is ready to jump in right now in NHL. It could be take the spot.
Wait. You think Fowler can be Montreal's starter in 2 years?
Yeah. In 2 years, he could
No.
be. He could be.
It's going to be a Montreal
At the end of 2
team
years.
and Montreal Canadiens and the team, not this year, is an NCAA, not the front year with the Laval Rocket, and then the year number 3.
The third year, at the start of...
So in 3 years from now,
final year contract on Montembeault. And remember, in 2 years, next year, Primo become RFA. Year after that, he become a UFA. We don't know what he look like to Besh at the end of the day. For me, what I tried to say is Askarov push a little bit quicker to have a better goaltender and the future with the Montreal Canadiens. My concern is the cost. And again, like Fowler and Askarov, both of them did not prove yet what they look like in NHL. That's my only concern. Until they don't reach 100 to 125 game in NHL, it's very difficult to evaluate a goaltender. Whatever they are, the top 10 or the bottom 10, for me, it can be a top 11 or 6-9. It's all about who you look like in NHL at the end of the day, right? Wallstad, Koza, look how many years they take for them. Fowler, for me, it's a minimum 3 years. Askarov can jump this year, but they also have Primo. I don't think it's necessary for the Montreal Canadiens to spend a top defenseman, another good forward to get Askarov. I will not go that way. I think they are not there yet. Now, next year,
I agree.
Next year,
I mean, best case scenario. Suppose both Fowler and you acquire Askarov both work out, and then you have to decide on your 1A and your 1B, and neither one will be happy.
Fowler is going to be under control for a long time. And I think, I love Fowler, and I have, like I said, I'm a huge fan, and I think he has a lot of potential. But guys, how often? So what you're saying basically, so let's assume he makes the Montreal Canadiens in 27-28, okay, which is the end of Montembeault, right? So you're basically going to that third year, and we all, based on all of our projections here, we will be very upset if Montreal is not a playoff team, and being not just a playoff team, but we're saying that they're going to be they should be on their way up and be like an elite team in the NHL in 3 years from now. You really still want Montembeault to be the guy 3 years from now? Or option B, you're bringing in pretty much a rookie as your goaltender. Even if he has a lot of potential, you're bringing in a rookie to help you get into the playoffs or get far into the playoffs. That's happened before. But like we always say about goaltending on this show, guys, goaltending is absolutely voodoo. It's so hard for organizations to properly,
it's hard.
So to me, if you're going to have a lottery ticket, why not get two if you can? You got Askarov as a lottery ticket, and you've got Fowler as a lottery ticket, and you hope that one of them becomes an elite goaltender that's going to take you all the way.
Can we talk about Carey Price retired? No, just kidding. Next time.
No. That's a show on its own. No, but I mean, those are they're not the only two avenues, right? Like there will be free agent goaltenders that are more established as well, that are going to come up either this year, this summer coming up, or the summer after. And so,
free agent, but they're old, man. But they're going to be
not
old.
All
like
of
you're
them,
going to.
How often are you going to look at the Rangers? The Rangers, obviously, they will sign Shesterkin, but suppose they don't come to some agreement. He's on the market. You're not going to take a shot at him?
You're not going to lose just here. Well, here's a different one, guys. Should Montreal offer Sheet Swayman?
No.
Why? 8.5.
Because you can 2 or 3 first-round pick.
For how much?
That's
what
okay.
is what's the
limit? The range.
What's the
well, they changed this year because they have a new salary cap. I have to look again, but before that was 1.8.1 before that.
I wonder what the compensation is for 8.5. Let me see.
I think it's 2 firsts.
I think now it's 8.4, but I'm getting there. I don't know if I have the right one here. Because they just changed it.
Here we go. So for between 6,871,000 up to 9,171,000, it's one first round pick, one second round pick, and one third round pick. It's over when it's over 9,161,000 is where you get two first round picks. So you can go up to 9.1 million and only do a 1, a 2, and a 3. Would you offer 8.5 to Swayman? Either way, it screws. If Boston matches it, they're screwed, because then that really puts them in a tough position.
They still have to spend. They have $8 million, so you have to give him a $9 million.
Even if you do 8.5, even if you don't think they'll accept it, that Boston will not be able to match it. It puts Boston in a very, very difficult position, which is good for Montreal. Like, that's what you want to do. The whole point of an offer sheet,
it'll start up the rivalry.
But now you screw your template of a goaltender.
Not if you have like a top 5 goalie in the league.
Swayman is not going to.
I know, but if one of the things that we learned is you don't necessarily.
Marguerite, ladies and gentlemen, another super chat, $20, Marguerite. You did it again. Mark Elliott, another super chat. Thanks so much for the super chat, Mark. The second of the night after William McClary. I appreciate all the people in the chat. From Laine to Askarov. Now we talk about swimming. I will not go there because now you change your template of your salary cap. The goaltender is going to be $9 million. You're going to get Fowler after that. At $4 million, you become $13 million. Now there, I will not go any goaltender over $6 million, $7 million.
You guys were talking about you want a goaltender that's proven. You're not.
Now you're going to give your first round pick, Marko, is be a top 10.
Maybe Carey Price will come back.
It'll be a top 10.
He's still on the team.
On that one there. You still have Fowler, and you until you have a goaltender on your pipeline, I will not be, because it's not a rush to get Swayman anyway. It's not a rush to get Askarov anyway. For me,
Swayman is the goalie. If you don't think that if Swayman is the goaltender for the Montreal Canadiens next season, that they're a playoff team?
They're not going to be a playoff team next season.
No.
With Swayman in net?
They're getting close, but they're not there. They have one time goals next season. So until then, I will not change anything.
If Swayman is your goaltender,
Marko,
if you offer
goalies have to have talent, Marko. The goalies have to have talent, but they also have to have a good defense in front of them. And Boston has afforded that to Ullmark and Swayman in the past.
I don't know, dude. If they had Swayman in net, I would wager that Montreal would make the playoffs next year.
This year coming up, you're saying, in 24, 25.
If in training camp, Jeremy Swayman is the goaltender for the Montreal Canadiens, first of all, that means Boston doesn't have a goaltender, which means that Montreal might be able to overtake Boston in the standings, for sure. Like that, to me, that's a no-brainer, guys. If Montreal got like a top 5 goaltender, I don't know, it would be pretty interesting to see.
I think it definitely helps. I'm not certain that they're there yet at that level.
At the end of the day, I will not take that. I will not. Fowler for me is the one who's going to be a great goaltender in NHL. He's going to. I love how he compete. I love how he make a big game. He's not afraid to play at that level. He did it in the USHL. Did it when NCAA. It's going to be second year over there. And it will be ready on Montreal Canadiens. One of the teams going to get there. And they say Montembeault will be his third year or his contract. So I think that's Montreal are set up on that way until they have the chance. I would not. That position is for me is okay. I would prefer targeting other location, other place. Put my money other location or the position
like
of Montreal Canadiens.
Like where?
Left winger.
Okay, well, you've got Caulfield, Demidov, Slavkov, and Newhook.
Demidov play on the right side.
Right side, yeah.
Okay, well then one of your right shots is going to need to play on the left because Montreal has so many right-hand shots.
Yeah, but when I'm talking about if you have to draft someone like a position wise, the left side, like it's only Caulfield, New Hook, and the rest over there. So if you look about their template or the position, that's the right there. I would targeting like I would add another right defenseman, Marko, on the pack what they have to secure more that position. I think the left is strong. Whenever you put Madison out, you still have Cooley, you still have Hudson, you have Jekai. I think Engstrom is a wild card in my opinion. I think he could be surprised other people. And you have Strobel over there. On the right side, only have Rebecca, Mayu, and Konishkov. You don't know Konishkov? Yeah, yeah.
And Barron.
And Barron. Still, I would like to upgrade that position on that side. This is one there. That's after that. The left winger is my first priority right there. And then a center. I would like to add a center with more size as the third center. That's the time we tell us. I don't think so. Florent Jacquet would be that kind of the center. Now Michael Edge could become that center at 6'1". Owenbeck is 6 foot. I would like to get a 6'3" right there, Marko. He can switch in the back on the wing side, whatever it is, right? I would like that. That's if I have a draft pick. That's what I would like targeting there.
Guys, when Columbus first got
like McQueen, Marko, like McQueen, 6'5". That's what I would love to get.
But when Columbus first got Laine, did he not play center?
Well, they tried to play him at center last year, yeah.
He wasn't bad.
He can play center.
He wasn't bad. Yeah. I mean, now you have size.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that at all, but that's 100% right. Like, I've never seen him play center, but apparently he can. He's never played center with the Jets. Never. I think it was just really last year.
Just with Columbus,
with Columbus. But guys, like, listen, I don't want to come off as though I'm not a believer in Fowler. Like, I really like Fowler. I just think you guys are. I think you guys are a little downplaying how long it's going to take for him to be a starter where he's playing 55 games in the NHL. And if you look at the timeline where Montreal is, at the very for me, getting Patrik Laine again, it accelerates things a little bit, so you don't need to use those assets anymore to go acquire things. And again, so in year 3 years from now, if Montembeault is still your starter, or if a Fowler is now a rookie starter, are you gonna that's not the best position to put yourself with. So I'm not saying again. If you can get Askarov at the right price, again, you can't trade one of those right-handed defensemen because you need those guys. But if you can make something else work, or if you can get a goaltender that's 22, 23, 21 at the youngest, I think you have to look at it. Just because of where Montreal is and just the timing of everything, right? So, and you guys know how I feel about the center position. We have to see if Doc can deliver as the second line center. That's still the biggest question of this whole rebuild.
That's the key to everything right there.
Yeah, I still believe 4 or 5 years for the Montreal Canadiens to get that level of and then follow be a year number 4 where it's going to be the starter in NHL.
That's a good question, by the way, from Antti. I see in the chat. Curious to see what everybody thinks. So it's obvious that Patrik Laine is not going to be able to wear 29 with the Montreal Canadiens because that number is retired with Ken Dryden. So curious to see, guys, put it in the chat. What number do you think Patrik Laine will wear? I hope it's not he does the reverse and does 92. I just feel that would look weird on him. Personally, I hope he chooses 79 would be the number that I would choose for him. 39 or 79 would be my choice.
69. Yeah.
Coach, what number do you want Laine to wear?
All right, we have the tiger with the monkey. We have a great... the safari is growing day after day, Mr. Enortap. We're getting better. And then, of course, we have all the kiosks of the food with pizza. Also, he is in the chat. So thanks so much. Laine, he said 92. We close to 91 with Demidov, honestly. I don't know. He likes the
79.
20s, right? He likes the 20s.
Or is it that he likes 9?
27.
27? No.
No?
Last
No.
one was Jonathan Drouin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he probably likes the 9. 39? Do you like 39?
I was going to say 39.
Yeah. For me, it's 39 or 79. I was on my PlayStation, guys. I tried all the different numbers and I was playing. 79 looks really sharp. Really, really sharp.
Yeah, 46, 44. We're going to find out at some point where he's going to wear for sure. We have no problem. Maurice, he wake up with a big smile.
You know, it's been...
And because he just see the news of Patrik Laine. Maurice is in Thailand like me about that. It's sad we have over 126 for Andy Koivula for the Montreal Canadiens, 26-26. Last one, it was not Kovacevic.
Kovacevic, yeah. It's free now.
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
you know,
a good one, indeed. AK, well, welcome back, AK. By the way, AK work a lot during the summer, so welcome back, my friend. William McClary knocked the door tonight. Welcome. We have a lot of people knock tonight. We appreciate that. Look, we have I feel bad. We have to go, but we have over 100 people, guys, in the chat. We get 2 hours of the show tonight. I don't know if you want to add something for that.
You know, it's been a long evening when we end off talking about numbers that Laine you will be taking.
No, I think it's a fun question.
It's
Bob
fun.
said
It's
82.
fun,
Bob said 82 for the 82 game.
No. Oh, for 80, okay, I get it. 82 for 82 games. Okay, I get that.
As a good one about that for Bob's.
Last thing I would add, Coach, is just to remind everyone, if you're watching for the first time, like I mentioned earlier, this is a big game changer, I think, for the Montreal season. So go back, go look at the video we released a little while ago about what Montreal needs to compete for the playoffs. Go watch that video. It's only like 12 minutes long or something like that. It's not super long. Yeah, go watch it. And there's a lot of interesting. No, we weren't as excited. No, don't spoil it, Coach. Don't spoil it. You have to go watch the other video. So go watch the other video, and then on Wednesday,
we don't want to show them the line with just the graphic of the line.
No, because we're teasing the other video, Coach. You want them to go look at your other video.
Join us.
Right? But join us. 35 minutes ago, he said, "Do you remember? Do you have it?" I said, "I had to look, and now I got it."
Was then. But that was then. This is now. I'm trying to drive more traffic to your.
I understand that. But can I put Montreal?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
So Montreal Canadiens have that line, and I don't know if it's this one. That's the defenseman over there, and the Montreal Canadiens guys was 90 goal. There you go, Marko. 90 goal.
Yeah. So go to the other video, guys. It's very informative. It's going to show you all the teams that